Hey, welcome back everyone. It's me, Mr. 4K. Thank you for tuning in. On this video, I'm going to be talking about the DLC called Shadows of Rose. Shadows of Rose is a DLC that was released for Resident Evil 8 Village, and there's going to be some heavy spoilers here, plenty of spoilers. So if you're someone who doesn't want to be spoiled and would like not to know what happens, then now's the chance for you to leave, stop watching this video, and don't watch it. Okay? But if you're someone who doesn't care and you would like to know, well, then you are more than welcome to stay here and watch this video. There's also, however, spoilers warning on the title. So when you click on the video, you'll see the title that says spoilers warning. So now that I have explained this to you and gave you a fair warning that there are spoilers ahead, we're going to proceed and we'll talk about Shadows of Rose. Alright, so Shadow of Rose, it's a DLC. When you finish a Resident Evil 8 Village, then you can continue with this DLC. And the DLC really ties in some loose ends that kind of left you hanging at the end of the Resident Evil 8 Village. And you're like, wouldn't you like to know more, right? What happened to Ethan and etc., etc. So what basically happened at the end of the Resident Evil 8 Village, Ethan dies, right? He dies, he gets killed by Mother Miranda, and then Chris picks up Rosemary Baby, which is her, Rosemary. If you can see her here in her parents' old house in Romania. And Chris also finds out that Mia is alive. Mia was kept captive in her lair in the village, and she was pretending to be Ethan's wife. So Chris finds all that out, and he picks up Mia, and he saves her, and he rescues both Rose and Mia, but Ethan dies. He sacrifices himself, and he blows up the mold. I keep forgetting the name of that. There's a specific name for that mold. Micromycin or something. Micromycin or something like that. Macromycin. Something like that. Macromycin or micromycin, whatever. Which is the origin of this mold. Excuse me. And so he destroys it, sacrifices himself. But the reason he sacrificed himself because he was already dead. He was infected by the mold, and his time was running out. He was going to die no matter what. But when he dies, he ends up in this world of Miranda's limbo, where Evelyn is. So he ends up in the same world where Evelyn is and where Miranda is, right? And the world that he ended up in, think of it like, well, I wouldn't want to call it heaven. It's something between heaven and hell. It's like a little limbo that he's stuck in this limbo, right? And he wants to be free. So what happens is on DLC, Rose is lured in by Miranda. Miranda camouflaged herself as a scientist. Because remember, she was a scientist, biochemist, right? So she camouflages herself as this one individual, pretending to be her friend, this individual, this man, who's also a scientist. So he's telling Rose that, you know what, I can help you get rid of those powers that you have, because Rose didn't want to use the powers anymore because she felt these powers that she has inherited were a curse, and she doesn't want that curse to be part of her anymore. So she goes, trusting this guy, this individual who's pretending to be her friend, which is disguised as a Miranda. You have to remember, Miranda can camouflage herself as anyone. She could be me, she could be you, she could be your mother, she could be your husband, she can be your brother, sister, she could be your loved ones of of all the ones that you know, your relatives, your cousins, etc., etc. You name it. Because she can, camouflage herself and manifest herself into whoever. Especially for a young girl like this, it's very easy to manipulate and lure her into her dimension layer. So that's what happens to um, Rose. She ends up in this limbo. First, she goes to this place with this guy who's pretending to be her friend, which is disguised as a Miranda, and she accesses this in this lab, scientific lab. She accesses this portal that takes her to this limbo where her father, Ethan Winters, Miranda is, and Evelyn is in this limbo, seeking for this light crystal to help her remove this power. And as she goes through all this, you know, levels of I don't want to go too much into detail about that. So she basically has the message from Ethan telling her what to do, where to go, how to collect these crystals, etc., etc. So she has to fight all these enemies, and once she finally understands that the person that was leaving her messages is her father, Ethan Winters, then he shows her, hey, this is who I am. I'm your father. This is where you were raised. You were raised here in this house in Romania, in Eastern Europe. And I was talking about the wine and how I hoped that my daughter would one day share a glass of wine with me. And also he shows her, when she was a baby drinking the milk, and showing her favorite music box that was special, to Ethan's family, Mia, of course, him and Rose. And then he was showing her, this is the bedroom. This is your bedroom where you were sleeping. And there's the that little, what you call it, a baby bed where she was placed to sleep by Ethan. You see all of this in the beginning of the village, the opening scene in the village video game. So he was showing her all of this, so she understood that, hey, I was your father, I am your father, because she never knew her father. Because remember, she was little, she was a little infant, a little baby. How could she remember? The only thing that she remembered was what Chris told her. Chris has to explain to her, I'm not your real biological father. I'm like your, like a great uncle or something who raised you. But, Chris raising her, he tried to tell her, well, Mia is still alive, of course. Mia survived, but Mia also told her about, her father, what happened to her father, that he was a hero, that, what he did, sacrificed himself, protecting her, and protecting Mia, protecting both of them. He protected Mia as well. He went to that, Baker's family in Louisiana to look for Mia as well. So there's that. So he protected both of his ladies. He's a ladies' man. So he's showing her all of this, the room, the house, everything, and also telling her to look at the photo, and she does. And that's you when you were a little infant, or you were a little baby. And then after this, he tells her there's a key. Look at the letter. Look at what it says. And yeah, and she gets the key and all that. Like, the key that he gave her is the key for her to open up to see the letter that he wrote for her, that he left in a drawer. So she uses the key, opens it, and she's reading this letter. He says, I will always be there for you no matter what. Don't you worry. I'll be there every birthday to watch you blow out the candles on your cake. very emotional. I mean, Resident Evil Village is very emotional. Certainly, there's time where you're gonna tear up a little bit for sure. I'll be there when you have a bad dream. And she started crying, like he's letting her know, I will always be there for you, no matter where you are, no matter what happens, no matter what the circumstances are, I will be there. And he is. He's always been there for her and for his wife Mia, no matter what, the circumstances are. And that's what any loving father should do. Always be there for his family, no matter what. You're my precious rose. It's so emotional, man. Like, even I teared up. I mean, it's impossible not to, unless you're not a human being. I cannot see how you cannot tear up, dude. And then Evelyn shows up. But you remember, this is all happening in the limbo. In the limbo of this, let's just call it limbo between heaven and hell. This limbo place that this mold has created, thanks to Miranda. That Miranda has manifested with all of these characters that she created. Now, Evelyn, who's Evelyn? Well, we've seen Evelyn in the Resident Evil 7. Miranda was a scientist, I already explained this, and she was the one who found the origin of this mold, meaning she found where it was buried. She still doesn't know, like, the true origin of it, like where was it buried there, for how long was it buried there, this micromycin, how long was it there, buried underground on this village in Eastern Europe, right? But she did found it. She was the first one that discovered it. Okay, so I just want to clarify that. Miranda was a biochemist scientist that was also approached by Spencer. Spencer was the one who actually created, was the founder of Umbrella Corporation, right? He founded the Umbrella Corporation. He created the Umbrella Corporation, the T-virus, the whole thing. So Spencer approached Miranda before she turned into Mother Miranda. When she first found this micromycin and she started studying it in her lab, she actually created a lab underneath this micromycin mold, and she got approached by Spencer, who funded the project to create Evelyn under this different name called the Connections, right? So she said, yes, sure, of course, if you're going to fund me the money to study more on this micromycin, to study more on this mold, I will gladly, participate with that. So, but I also think that there was a little bit of a romance between Spencer and Miranda there, because they're both scientists and they both, kind of have these wicked ideas on what they think the world should be and how it should be, so that's how she got the funding for this project called E001, which is the Evelyn. Okay, this prototype, E001. So E001 is a successful prototype that was created by micromycin, that was created by this mold. There was other subjects, but they didn't survive. Okay, but those other subjects can be used as a serum to destroy the one that was successful, kind of like positive and negative, but you still need a positive and a negative in order for your batteries to work. Okay, and all of this is explained in Resident Evil 7 DLC of Resident Evil 7. At the end of the Resident Evil 7, all of this is explained, even in Resident Evil 8. And even I have explained it, like, in great detail. So anyway, now in this limbo, Evelyn shows up, and of course she was destroyed by Ethan in the physical realm. So here's what I'm trying to say. These characters don't exist in physical realm because they were already destroyed by the serum. So they cannot come back to the physical realm. All right. So they ended up in this, if you want to call it hell, this limbo But this limbo where Evelyn is, it's also where Miranda is, and also where her father, Ethan Winters, is. But it's also where this light crystal is for her to be able to get rid of the powers, for Rose to get rid of her powers. So anyway, Evelyn comes in and says, "What you're looking for, it's not here. These light crystals are not here. You're not gonna find it." And it's true. The light crystal was buried in the layer of micromycin where Miranda's lab is. That's where it was kept, in Miranda's lab. She's not gonna keep it in a castle. It's not gonna happen. So anyway, she's telling you the thing you're looking for. Hold on. The thing you're looking for, it's not here. The thing you're looking for, it's not here. Isn't here. So she tells her that isn't here. She can't trust anyone. She's just trying to persuade her, like, I wish that, like, you were not born or something. Like, she's very evil. It's like, I was the first one that was created. I was the first one that was loved by your mother. Well, her mother was a babysitter. Mia Winters was a babysitter for Evelyn. Because remember, Mia Winters also worked for this organization called the Connections. That's where Spencer was funding the project. That's where Mother Miranda was also bringing this micromycin, this mold to create Evelyn, because she needed the funding, of course, to create that. This is before she went on her adventures to create the village and all that. Used that micromycin to terrorize the entire village and create everyone into her. Well, she killed everyone in that village and used them as creatures. Used them as creatures. Used them as werewolves, lycans, vampires, whatever. We've seen Lady Dimitrescu, and you've seen what she has done. So, as you can see, Evelyn's telling her, when you're dead, no one will care, blah, blah, blah. Look at you, you're beyond worthless. This is exactly what you expect someone who's evil to say to you, of course, that you're now worth nothing, that I wish you were never born. So that's Evelyn trying to persuade her. So she fights Evelyn here. And if you played Resident Evil 7, you know what she wanted. She wanted a family, the gift. She wanted both Mia and Ethan to join her and become part of her family. But it didn't work out now, did it? What happened is Rose happened. The antidote. The antidote. You see, whenever there's good, there's evil. It's like a yin and yang. It's like that balance, positive and negative. And you always will have that positive and negative. You just have to stay in between. In the middle. And don't. What I always tell people is, like, when it comes to life, try to walk that fine line between good and evil. Stay in the middle, but understand that there's always evil lurking around. There's always bad things can happen. Don't like get this idea that everyone's great, that everyone's good, that everyone has your best interest, that everyone is out there to be happy for you and do what's best for you. That's not how the world works. People have their own agendas. People have their own reasons for everything, and they choose what they choose. Remember, people choose to be evil. They're not born evil. People choose what they choose. It's like when you go to a Burger King or McDonald's. Like, you choose what kind of Burger King you want. You choose what kind of McDonald's you want. So it's all a choice. Like, you're born and then you make a choice. But I don't think anyone is like truly born evil. It's just you grow. As you grow, you choose what you want to be. And based on that, the consequences will follow. Of course, you are what you manifest. I know this is hard people to believe, but it is true. You are what you manifest. What you manifest is what you are. And so, they're having a fight. They're fighting each other. So anyway, Ethan helps her, gives her the power to destroy Evelyn, uh, and he finally does. And now she's gone. Well, he didn't really. You can't really destroy Evelyn in this limbo, but he can remove the powers from her. So that's what he did. He gave her something to remove her powers in this limbo. And they're starting to fight. And then once she defeats Evelyn, remember, she's always in that limbo. It's like something between heaven and hell. But since Ethan is also in that limbo, he can control the powers, and he was able to give her the ability to remove Evelyn's powers in this limbo, so she can defeat her and move on to the micromycin where the Miranda is in the castle. And you can see there's a micromycin, which is right over here, and it's right next to the castle. And on the underneath that micromycin, that's where actually Chris Redfield, by the end of Resident Evil 8 Village, went inside this cave that leads to the underground tunnels, and these underground tunnels leads to this micromycin, and that's where we find Miranda's lair, her almost like a Victor's Frankenstein twisted, lab where she worked and where she created all of this nonsense, manifested all of this nonsense. So she goes in there and she makes her way to the micromycin, and then she finds out this is where, the replicas of her are coming out. It's all coming out from the micromycin. There it is. And she goes through the tunnels. Remember, she's looking for this crystal to remove her cursed power that she is adjacent to. She wants to remove this power, but she needs this light crystal, right? So she goes in, and there it is. She says, I can feel it. It's there. And she finally finds this crystal. There it is. The light crystal. She finds it. And she says, it's working. Oh my God, this is what normal feels like. Right? So she finally, starts to feel like, oh my God, I don't have any more powers, because she wants to be normal. She doesn't want to be looked at as a freak. She wants to have a normal life. So she wants to get rid of this curse. And then next thing you know, Mother Miranda shows up as I expected. She shows up. There it is. And she tells her that she lured her in here because she wanted her to come to her so she can, have her become part of her, part of her sick project, of what she's trying to create. And there's Miranda. She says, Rosa, I waited so long for you.
Normal feels like.
Rose, I've waited so long for you.
Who are you?
My name is Miranda.
Her name is Miranda, and then she says, I'm Miranda. She explains to her, I was the one who was manipulating you in the physical realm as your best friend, as this individual. You'll see it in the beginning of Shadows of Rose, where this one guy is pretending to be her friend, telling her, no, I know I can help you, and I'm a scientist as well. I'll help you, have you access to my lab, maybe you can figure out the way to remove this curse that you have, this, this stuff in you that you have, this powers. But what Rose didn't know is that was Miranda in a disguise. That was Miranda in a disguise as quote unquote her best friend. You had become powerful, far too powerful for me to subdue directly. And then she started giving her some, you know, some explanation. Like she says, did he or did I? Because she's trying to tell her the person who was telling you about this lab and how. Because how would someone know how to have access to this portal? It would only have to be someone like Miranda who has access to both this limbo and the physical realm. So she has that ability to do that. So she's telling her it was me who was disguised as this so-called best friend of yours. Just like she did when she captured Mia and she kept Mia in her lair. She was pretending to be Ethan's wife. And that's why Chris killed Mia Winters. But he didn't really kill Mia Winters. He was trying to kill Miranda, because he knew that was a fake Mia, that wasn't a real Mia. So that's why he captured Ethan, rescued Ethan and Rosemary. But Ethan back then in the beginning of the game, he didn't understand, like, what the hell. That's why one of the special forces guys said to Redfield, Captain Redfield, Chris Redfield, maybe you should have told Ethan about this. But anyway, that I already explained that part. You can go watch that. The importance of Chris Redfield video, which I do have, it's there. So it says, I was very convincing, wouldn't you say? Pretending to be someone else. That wasn't really your best friend. That was me disguised as your best friend, because she knew that was the only way that I can get you to come into this portal. Okay, but what Miranda didn't really count on, the one thing that Miranda underestimated here, yes, she was able to lure her in to come here, but the one thing that Miranda underestimated was a couple of things. Number one, the fact that Ethan Winters will help her, number one. And number two, that she's far more powerful than even Miranda has expected. But that's what happens when you're messing with something that you don't understand, like this micromycin. Like, everything has a yin and yang, okay? Everything has positive and negative. But this is where she made a very crucial mistake. She didn't calculate that, right? So anyway, so she's telling her all this, what I was just telling you. And then Ethan shows up, her father shows up, says, come on, let's go. Because he knows that she'll try to snatch her and, keep her here forever. So he says, let's escape, let's get out of here. That's Ethan. There he is. He's carrying some sort of a shotgun. And you see him here as well. There he is. Why didn't you tell me who you really were? Right? So this is Rose asking her father, why didn't you tell me who you really were? And he says it would only complicate things, and I didn't want to complicate things. Sorry. Because he knew if he told her in the beginning that I was your father, then she would start thinking, maybe this is something fishy, or some kind of like, you can't just drop that kind of info on people, because they're gonna start thinking there's something fishy's going on. So he knew he had to pretend to be a Michael in this limbo, till he can keep her safe, And then once he knew that she was safe, then he shows up and he comes out and he tells her, well, it was me who was protecting you, who was your guardian angel, who was always there, as always, protecting you, and I always will be there protecting you. And then Ethan tries to, again, tell Miranda, like, back off, you crazy, you crazy wild witch, you crazy wild witch, back off. You know, I'm her father. She will never be yours. I will protect her till the ends of times, over and over and over again. Kind of similar like with Joel Miller. Like, Joel Miller would have protected Ellie no matter what, dude. Like, people need to understand it. You know, I talked about The Last of Us Part 1 and The Last of Us Part 2. Even if Joel was reborn again and again and again, Joel Miller would have done exactly the same thing. Because that's how much he cares about Ellie. So, same thing here. That's how much he cares about Rose. And he would have done it all over again, over and over and over again. He would have done the same thing for Rose as he has done for his wife, Mia. So he would protect both of them no matter what. As he did in 7 and 8, protecting his ladies. And that's what you should do. As a man, as a father, protect your ladies. Okay? Or do you need Keanu Reeves to tell you this? Yeah, you need to protect your ladies. Are you not a man enough? You should always protect your ladies. So what happens here, Miranda, you know, hits Ethan and he's like hurt or something. And she says to him, Dad, don't worry. Because Ethan was telling her, leave, leave, leave. You need to leave now. He says, no, Dad. No. I'm going to destroy this bitch once and for all. I'm going to put an end to this bitch once and for all. So then you got to have to fight her for a little while. It's not easy fighting her, but there is a way. You just have to, you know, understand how to use the powers. Once you understand how to use the powers, then, like, it's not difficult to defeat her once you understand how to defeat her. That's all I'm trying to say. So there you go. Now you see Rose has the power. And now we're even. Now we're square. Now try and fight me, bitch. So then they go, and they go fighting. And then you see here, he gives her the power, some more power. Says, here, take this. Her father, Ethan Winters, gives her some more power. And now she has more power now. Now she has the ultimate power. Now she has the power that will totally destroy her. Because she can actually collect her powers and use it against her as well. And now she gets her father's powers. And then you can see here she defeats Miranda. Miranda's defeated. There she is. Whatever's left of her. There you go. Whatever's left of Miranda, she defeats her. You can see it here. She's defeated. And it says, I'm not your goddamn vessel. I'm not some stupid copy. I'm me, Rose, and you're done. Exactly. You are you. You see, this is a very important message. No one should have a control over you. No one should have a control over your soul. No one should have a control over your body. No one should have a control over your mind. You are you. You are very unique you, and you should always, always remember that. Okay? Never lose your moral principles of who you are. Always stand up by your moral principles. Never sell yourself cheap. Never be someone else's pawn or a tool. Always remember who you are. Don't ever be for sale. Don't sell yourself cheap. I don't know. There's a lot of, but that's how evil works. A lot of distractions, a lot of manipulations. You need this, you need that, right? The money is the root of all evil, of course. That's how evil works, is through the money. So never sell yourself cheap. Never forget that. Always remember. I always say to people, I would rather be alone in the woods than to sell myself cheap. I would never do that. Never. It'll never happen. Never. Not in a million years. That's because I have a strong belief. I have my faith and strong connection to God. I know the difference between good and evil, and I know how it works. So once you have the faith, once you know that, you're good to go. Nothing can touch you. No darkness can approach you. And here we can see she's gone. Whatever's left of Miranda, bye. She says, my Eva. Eva meant Evelyn. My Evelyn. Well, your Evelyn has failed because he was evil. And that's why the good will always win over evil. You know, light and dark will always be there. Like, good and evil will always be there. But understand this, the good will always suppress the evil, like a positive and negative. You always need to have both, either positive and negative. But remember, evil will never win. Evil can never truly win. That's not the purpose of the negative. The purpose of negative is to help the positive win. So, see how that works? See how the universe works? So, this is what Miranda didn't understood. And I think this is also what Spencer understood when he gave Grace Ashcroft to Allison Ashcroft. Ashcroft. Is it Ashcroft? Ashcroft? Yeah, Ashcroft. But I already talked about, Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I already talked about the Spencer and how he gave Grace Ashcroft to Allison Ashcroft because she is the key. She's the key to keep the balance, the positive to my negative. Like, I think Spencer felt like guilt. What have I created with this umbrella and this T virus and all this nonsense? And he felt like, I have finally a child that I can give to you, a Grace that will be the key to finally putting an end to this madness that I have created with a T virus. I already explained that with Resident Evil 9 Requiem. That's already explained. And here's the very touching scene between Rose and her father, Ethan Winters. It's very touching. I almost cried, man. It's impossible not to tear up. Especially this scene, man. It's just so emotional. Resident Evil, this is why I keep telling people, to me, Resident Evil 7 and 8 are my two favorite Resident Evils, because such a well-written story. Better than any movie, Hollywood movie I have seen, honestly. And it's interesting enough, like, how well this Resident Evil is written. Even Requiem, right? When you look at it, man, and you say, man, have we really got to that point where the video games have better, well-written, more emotional, well-crafted stories than the TV shows nowadays, than movies nowadays, where video games actually have a better story, more emotional story. Look at Alan Wake and Alan Wake 2, right? You look at all of these, video games. Like, the video games now are like movies, man. They're like work of art. It's like reading your favorite book, So when I look at video games, I don't look at video games like back in the 80s playing a Pac-Man or Tetris, or all these Atari games, Atari 2600 games. I look at it as more than just the video games. Video games, I wouldn't even call it video games. I would call it like digital interactive work of art. Digital interactive work of art. So, and she says to him, all you ever done to me was always protect me. You were always there for me, protecting me. Very emotional scene. Oh, I definitely choked up. I mean, you can watch the live stream. I've done it. This is all from the live stream. While I was playing it, I was taking screenshots. A lot of people ask me, why are you taking screenshots? Well, now you understand why I'm taking screenshots. So I can do all of these videos to explain to you what's going on in the story. Because it's hard for me to explain while I am playing the video game to you, like what's going on. So this is why I make these videos, to make it clear to you what's going on in the video game. And that's why I take screenshots. And she says to me, if I had left you, I would have never had this chance to talk face to face. And this is really important for Rose to get some closure, that she was able to finally meet her father, spend some time with her father. Let's call it heaven, all right? But I call it a limbo. In this limbo, and that finally she was able to get some answers and get some closure, who her father was, and now she has a better understanding of who her father was, and now she can move on through life normally without having this curse on her, you know. This is like, honestly, like, this is like the way God works, if you will. You know, when it says God works in mysterious ways, well, that's what they mean. If I had left you, then we would have never have had this chance to talk to face. And she gives him a hug. Oh, it was so emotional, man. I choked up, dude. Oh, dude, I choked up badly, dude. I was trying not to show it, but you can't see it on the camera, but believe me, I had tears coming down, for sure. It was very emotional, and I had teary eyes, believe me. I was trying to hold it in, but I think a couple of tears came out. And then I clapped. I was like, beautiful. Especially this scene. Oh my god. Oh god, man. It hits. Like, it hits right here, bro. Because it's done so well. See, that's what I was saying. Like, you know, when was the last time you saw a movie that can actually give you this kind of feeling, right? Movies nowadays, I mean, I watch Netflix all the time. Those are garbage movies. Can I be honest? They're garbage movies. So like generic and garbage. But you look at this video game, it's not generic. It really feels like, you know, you feel attached to it. You have feelings, you know. You care about these characters, you know. And I think that's what Capcom has achieved. So congratulations to Capcom, dude. What they have done with Resident Evil, man, it's unbelievable. The developers of Resident Evil, what they have achieved here, it's unbelievable. For 30 years, man, this franchise has been around for 30 years, and it's still successful. Look at Requiem. Already 5 million copies, probably more than that. The achievements that they have achieved in past 30 years, it's unbelievable. There's some more here, you know. It's a very beautiful and very emotional scene. And she says, I'm so proud of you. And he holds her, puts his hand on her head, and says, I'm proud of you. It's so, I guess, so emotional. You should got to see this scene. You got to see it. You got to see this to get choked up. The music and everything, it's just, you get choked up. So very proud of you. It was so good. So emotional. Very emotional, man. Oh my god. Love you too, Dad. And then she wakes up, gets out of the limbo, this other world, let's call it limbo between heaven and hell, and she comes back to her reality. But only this time, she doesn't have the curse. She only has the power that her father gave her, and now she has some closure to her understanding how she was born, what happened to Mia, to her mother, what happened to her father, the role that the Chris Redfield had to play as the great uncle. So now she has better understanding, and now she can live a normal life, you know. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story, man. So well done. And she remembers her dad. So there you have it. It's been 45 minutes. Like I said, I told you in the beginning, a spoilers warning. So when you start watching this video, I mean, look, clearly it says on the titles, spoilers warning. So no one should complain. Spoilers. Clearly I put spoilers warning. Not only did I put spoilers warning on the title, but I put spoilers warning on the description. And I also gave you a spoilers warning the beginning of the video. So it's not like, gee whiz, I didn't know. Okay. The whole point of these videos is for those of you who care about Resident Evil universe, so you can have a better understanding of Resident Evil. Am I turning this channel into Resident Evil? Kind of, you know, right? I'm starting to sound like Keanu Reeves. Yeah, kind of, you know, turning this into a Resident Evil channel, and yeah, and you know, my God, do I miss that voice? So, yes, in a way, kind of yes, but it's not just Resident Evil. We're going to take a break. We'll play other games. We'll play Pragmata. We'll play First Light. Crimson Desert. Hey, if you guys can gift me a Crimson Desert, if you want to gift me a code, I'll be more than happy to play it. You know, but I'm certainly not going to, you know, pay it out of my own pocket. You know. So what's next for me? Next for me, it's revisiting Resident Evil 5, which I already talked about that. And after Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, revisit both Resident Evil 5 and 6, and then play Pragmata. And after that, we'll take a break from Resident Evil. We'll finish Pragmata. If we don't finish Pragmata, we'll continue playing it. But in between Pragmata, we'll play Forza Horizon 6 in Japan, which I already talked about this on my live stream. So if you want to know my schedule, watch my previous live stream that I did, and I explain what my schedule is, what type of games I'm planning on playing, etc., etc. All right, well, I need to take a deep breath. There's been a lot of explaining here. It's almost like a TED Talk for 47 minutes. I hope you guys appreciate this, what I'm trying to do here. I put a lot of hard work into what I do here, what I do on this channel. I've been, you know, creating content for 12 years. I know most of you remember me as a guy doing televisions. I understand that, but I quit doing televisions because I simply cannot afford, you know, to do that anymore. Unless I get approached by electronic shop that deals with the televisions and they let me review televisions every 15 days, I would listen. I would go back to that in a heartbeat if a company approaches me and says, hey, we want to give you ability to review the televisions every 15 days. Absolutely. I would go back to that. But you can't expect me to spend my own dime to be buying televisions, returning televisions. Are you crazy? It's not going to happen. All right. That's too expensive for me. I can't go back to that. Like, the only way I can go back to that is if a company approaches me that has, like, televisions. And they were able to supply me with the televisions to review televisions, and then I send it back, and they give it back to me, and I send it back. They give me another one, and I review it, and another one, I return it, and they give it back to me to return it, to review it. You know, like most of these television tech channels. I know it's, you know, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this because we were focused on Resident Evil. Because people have always asked me this, like, why did you quit doing televisions? Is because it's not feasible for me financially to do so, okay? And I would go back to it in a heartbeat if a electronic shop approached me and says, hey, we sell televisions. We're electronic shop here, blah 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 blah, in some state, whatever, and we're willing to make a partnership with you. Partner with you. We would send you the TVs to review every 15 days. You review it, make videos about it, send it back to us. We give you another television, another model to review. Once you review it, send it back to us. No problem. I would go back to that in a heartbeat, but I cannot because it's simply not feasible and it's too expensive. Okay, so that's why I cannot do it. The only way I could go back to it is if I was sponsored by a company that has televisions and they were able to supply to me different televisions models for me to review and then send back and send me another one, etc., etc. That would be like the only way that I would come back. So that's why I quit doing that. And that was like quite frankly, like we're talking 12 years ago. I don't know why people still ask me about this. I don't know why people still bringing this up. Dude, you're talking about something that was 12 years ago. Look at me, bro. I'm old, man. We're talking 12 years ago, man. All right? So I don't know why people keep bringing this up. Like, I'm done with that, man. It's over. That ship has sailed a long time ago. I had a great time doing it. I enjoyed doing it. Look, everything that I do in my life, whether it's this YouTube channel for 12 years, whether it's me spending time on the Meta Horizon world for 2 years as John Wick Returns, everything that I do, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything that I did. I have no regrets because it's all part of the experience. But understand this, I'm done with that. I'm done with that, type of videos that I used to make. Like I said, the only way that would happen for me to come back would be as if I was approached and sponsored by a company and they said, we're going to supply you with the TVs. Okay, if someone's going to supply me with the TVs every 15 days for me to review different models, different brands, absolutely, sure. Why wouldn't I? But, you can't expect me to use my own money to be buying these super expensive televisions. Are you out of your mind? So I'm done with that. That ship has sailed 12 years ago, dude. Like, honestly, it's like an ancient history, dude. It's like you talking ancient history 12 years ago, all right? So I'm still about games. I will always be about video gaming. But recently, because of the release of Resident Evil, I started like refreshing the story of Resident Evil, started like connecting the dots of Resident Evil. And I figured it wouldn't be nice for me to kind of explain to people about the Resident Evil for those of you who are the new generation, who are not familiar with Resident Evil. It's really for the Gen Z, the new generation who are not familiar with Resident Evil, because Resident Evil's been around for 30 years, way before their time, before some of them were born like in 2009, 2008, 2010. So it's like now they're 20 years old. I'm trying to like explain to them like the story, the universe of Resident Evil, so that way they have a better understanding of what Resident Evil is all about. Because it's important that you understand the story of Resident Evil. It's important that you understand the story of any game or any TV show or any movie to understand what's going on in the universe of that franchise, etc., etc. It's like understanding Star Trek, understanding Star Wars, so you have a better perspective. And once you understand it, I think you will appreciate this franchise even more. All right, so it's a very long video, 53 minutes. Everything's explained. So for those of you who would like to know about Resident Evil 7 and 8, I think I have explained it. It's all explained here. Like, you shouldn't be confused at all. I did the same thing with Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I explained the Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I explained the ending of Resident Evil 9 Requiem. And the message that Captain Redfield sent to Leon and what that message is. And I already explained to you what I believe that message is. So it's all there. All those videos are there for you to watch. I make those videos for you. I don't make it for me. So if you made it this far, that means that you have interest to find out of what's going on. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this 54-minute video as much as I did making it and explaining it to you. And I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. I hope that you will subscribe and share and like and help me out. I do work hard. I always work hard, no matter what I do. Like I said, I've been making content for 12 years. I didn't just started doing this like 5 minutes ago. I've been doing this for a long time, for 12 years. So hopefully you guys will appreciate that and will help this channel grow. You know, whether this channel grows or not, that's up to you guys. I can't force you to help. It's your own free will if you want to, but I'm hoping that you will. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you. I will actually see you on the Resident Evil 5 later on today live stream. Make sure you tune in for that Resident Evil 5 live stream. Thank you for watching.